Hi, this is Linda Sortino with Come Bead With Me. And today I'm very excited to be speaking with Heather Bennett, a wonderful bead artist. And she's going to tell us all about her work. Heather, why don't you just introduce yourself and how did you get started with beading?
Hi, I'm Heather. I'm the owner of Heather Bennett Studio. I am a contemporary bead artist. I've been working in this seriously for about 13 years. My first experience with beads was when I was 12. We went to Cherokee, North Carolina, and I got to see all the native beads, beading the bags and the bracelets and the necklaces, and I just loved it. So I went home and tried to learn how to do it, and I couldn't figure it out. I think I made one bracelet, and it was weird. But then my brother bought my mother a kit from one of the bead shops in Nashville. And she's like, I can't see these. You do it. I had no experience whatsoever. I think I had put some beads on a string once. But I was like, I mean, how hard can it be? Surely I can do this. So I actually did find the instructions online and I figured out how to do it. And it was so fulfilling to be able to do that. And it was so beautiful. I was like, okay, so I have to go back. So I went back to the bead store and I was like, I need more because I need to do this again. And then I got onto Pinterest and then I started seeing other patterns and buying other people's patterns on Etsy and doing those kinds of things. So I mostly worked in bead weaving in the beginning. But then I got exposed to bead embroidery. And that was like opening Pandora's box because you can do absolutely anything. Like you go, I want to make something that's shaped like a swan. You just make the swan. You want something that wants this shape, you want that shape. You can make it anything that you want it to be because you're sewing it into the fabric instead of the beads into the beads.
For instance, that piece that you're wearing there,
Mhm.
what's your design process? Do you start with that focal point? Do you design the whole thing out, or do you just kind of grab a bunch of beads and wing it?
Usually, what I do, and I'll actually show you an example of it, is I have this whole treasure box full of stones and fossils and just everything. And I find the one that I like. And when I found this one, you could see through it. The light passes through the stone. And I thought, well, that is such a waste to put that onto something and then never be able to see the beauty of the stone.
Right.
So I set it down on a piece of paper. It's kind of like this is one of the pieces I'm doing right now. And I would put the stone on the piece of the paper and then I would just kind of draw around it. What does this want to be? Where is this going? This is actually the stone that comes
Oh,
from
wow.
that. And because it's
Uh-huh.
two toned, I'm doing a green on the bottom and a lavender on the top. So it's like the stone that you pick or the focal bead that you pick, to me, it kind of tells me what it wants to be. It's kind
Very
of
interesting.
weird, but
Yeah. And then I know people always ask me this all the time, and it's so hard to answer. Like, how long does it take you to bead up a necklace of that size?
a necklace of this size, this one is not as complicated. Actually, the rope took longer than the medallion because this is woven. It's a peyote with a twist. And it's like every single bead into the bead. And so this would take a week. This would take a couple days.
Oh, okay. I noticed from your Instagram page that you also do you do craft fairs and that kind of thing?
I do
How
crafts fairs and artist markets, and I have a friend who does a farmer's market in her yard, and she's like, "Hey, come out." I was like, "Sure," just
yeah.
and I'm setting up in like boutiques that sell very specific high-end kind of things. I'm gravitating to that too because then I've got a permanent visual to customers.
And so is this your full-time job now, or do you have another job that you work?
I am on the way to being a full-time artist. I'm about half and half right now. I also work my husband owns a cybersecurity business and I do his books. And so
Okay.
it's about half and half.
So at least that's something you do virtually. You don't have to
Right.
you don't have a 9 to 5 job where you have to be somewhere.
Right, right. I'll work a couple hours. I usually work about half a day on Monday, and then I have the rest of the day, and then just during the week as he needs me.
Gotcha. And then, so I have done craft fairs over the years, not beading craft
Mhm.
fairs, and I mostly have horror stories to
Oh,
tell with that. So, do you find you have a more positive experience with it? Like, what drives you to keep doing them? Because we have a lot of members in the community are timid about
hmm
doing them,
hmm
you know?
Yeah. I, and I am not by nature an extroverted person. I'm not introverted. I'm just kind of in the middle. But you have to be really careful about where you go, which ones you choose to participate in. If you're sitting in a booth and the lady next to you is selling Tupperware, when they come through the line, they're not interested in your art.
Mm.
That's where you need to be with people who consider your work to be art, not craft. There's a very big distinction in that. If you're in the community, you hear this a lot, like, yes, it is a craft you learn, but it's an art because you're making it your own individual piece. And so if you don't go to events that foster that, you will. And that's what I experienced in the very beginning. I was just doing local shows. I was supporting the middle school. I was, doing those kinds of things. And everybody's like, "Oh, it's so pretty." And then they move on because they were not there for that reason.
Right.
The ones that I've been most successful at have been the reason I like doing it, and what pushes me to keep doing it is because the customers are there to talk to you about your art. They want to know, how did you make it? How did you come up with this? They're so interested in what you're doing. And even if I just get to talk to somebody and they actually understand what I do, it's more fulfilling than selling 3 pairs of $15 earrings at a little locals craft fair.
Right. And I think that's what most people fear
hmm
is is that the people ever, the customers will come along and say, "Oh, that's so pretty. That's really beautiful." And then they look at the price and they're like,
mm
they
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I kind of had the same experience from the
hmm
other side. I went to a farmer's market and I saw this pottery mug and it
hmm
was beautiful. She had hand painted like a flower garden around the bottom of the
Yeah.
pottery mug. It was like, and I looked for something similar on Etsy and couldn't find it. But I'll tell you, I had sticker shock because I
Mm.
flipped it over to see how much it was, and it was $95.
Yeah.
And for a minute, it kind of took me aback, and then
Right.
I just stop and think about how much, like how unique it was. You
Right.
can't judge by how long did it take her, how, it's just
hmm
a pottery mug. It was the art of it and the
Right.
uniqueness of it. That's what you're
hmm
paying for,
Right.
right?
You can get a coffee mug at Dollar Tree for $1.25 now. And or you can go to an arts festival and you get this piece of art. You're buying part of the artist. You're buying their time. You're buying their creativity. It's not just a coffee mug, at that point.
So where do you find you said you have a stash of local pieces. Where do you find them at? Do you go to I wouldn't imagine your local bead store has a lot of that.
All of the local bead stores in Nashville closed, and it's made
Yeah.
me really sad. I want to open one, but I don't want to work 9 to 5. So I would get them there. Etsy. I know it's kind of taboo among artists right now, but sometimes that's the only place you can find it. They have a gem show that comes through Nashville every year, every other year. Vintage stores, antique shops, things like that. I have taken cameos out of fittings and things like that. I'll tear something up in a heartbeat just to get the piece I want.
Yeah. We were talking earlier you were telling me about Whatnot. and doing demonstration videos on there instead of, doing actual selling. And that there, so, and I know you have a Instagram account. Do you do a lot of selling on Instagram, or is it mostly just for?
I do actually. I will draw, like, especially like the smaller items like the earrings or whatever. People, yeah, I've sold quite a. I don't sell the bigger pieces there because they can't touch it. They can't feel the work that's in it. It's kind of hard to drop $400 or $500 on something you can't touch. But earrings and stuff like that, yeah, we
Really?
sell really good on Instagram.
And then on Whatnot, you were telling me that there's like a bead. I've never even heard of that website before. That
Mhm.
there's like a beading community on there, and you just get on there and do demonstrations, like a mini YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatnot is like eBay, but it's live. You bid on what you want in that moment. They give you about 15, 30 seconds, and then they go to the next item. You can buy beauty products, electronics, kids' clothes, women's clothes, jewelry, whatever you want. But there's a category under craft that is for jewelry supplies and jewelry making. And there is a very, very active community there. And there are several of us who are artists who come in and we just do demonstrations and show people how to use what they have. Just, because we buy from people there. So we're just kind of showing our appreciation for the sellers to show other people how to use it to support the people who sell.
Okay, so you're kind of showing how,
Hmm.
helping the sellers out in a sense,
Yeah.
because you're showing how to use some of their products in an
Right.
actual design.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And then,
The piece that I showed earlier, this one,
uh-huh.
that's the piece that I'm working on and whatnot right now. I'm showing them how to do the bezel, and then I'll show them how to do the embroidery, and then I'll show them how to do the edging, and so it's like a different class every time.
Oh, that's so, like I said, it's kind of like a mini YouTube. Do you do YouTube videos too?
Before I did this, in a different vein, I did, but that was years ago, so I'm sure it's totally different now. But I didn't like it because I didn't have that chat to talk to people, for them to ask me questions live and say, what is that? What do you mean? What does this mean? What are you using? Those kinds of things. YouTube is good, for complete instructions, but I like Whatnot better because you can teach them design on the spot and they can ask the questions that they want to know.
So it's interactive.
Hmm. Right.
Okay. I'll have to I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I
Be
that's
careful.
that's yeah, I'll have to check that out. So, and then we were talking about your website,
Hmm.
which I don't know if I can't share the screen. I think I can. This is just a beautiful website. And you said you did this yourself.
Hmm. I did. I've I have a master's degree in marketing. So I've been trained and I work in marketing with some other companies. And so I have a background in music. So I'm versed in composition and those kinds of things. So it was a lot of practice and doing it a lot to know.
I've done several websites, and like I was telling you earlier,
Mm.
my bachelor's degree was in computer science from a very long time ago. And I actually worked in the computer industry for 20 years. But
Mm.
so I know what goes into a website like this, and this is just really phenomenal. And what makes it really phenomenal is this photography. And I am just blown away that you take all of these pictures yourself.
It took me just as long to learn photography as it did to learn how to bead.
I can imagine this is not as easy as it looks.
Mm-mm.
No,
Get the
it's not.
shadows and to get it's you have to play with light. And just like building the website and doing photography, it's kind of half creative and half analytical. You have to kind of marry the two.
So let me ask you this. To get a picture like this of
Mhm.
one of your items, How many photos do you think you took to get like the quote money shot?
20, 25,
Yeah.
a lot. And it takes, because even if you take them back to back, if there's a cloud going by the window, or if there's if I'm outside, if there's a cloud going by, it changes everything. And your window is so small that you, it just takes a lot of days. It's not a lot of time because you get like 30 minutes a day to take the shots, but then you can only do it so much each day that it's kind of
But you
spread
can't
out.
be in a rush
Right,
to get
right,
it done
right.
the way you take them with the natural light and everything. I mean, they do come out beautiful.
I have a
And I
set.
know,
Well, it's not set up now because I cleaned up the studio. I have this huge window
uh-huh.
right here, and there is a perfect time between 9:30 and 10 in the morning where it's just perfect and the light comes in just right, and then I just kind of leave it there and I'll change a few things. But yeah, you figure out what the equation is and then you just change the pieces.
You've done just really a phenomenal job with that. What is one thing? I know you wear a lot of hats with your business. What's the one thing where if money were no object, you wake up every day and you think, I wish I had somebody that could just do, what would it be?
Photography.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do it, but it takes so much time away. Like, I would rather build a website than do the photography because it just takes so much time. Like, time, because you get the shot, but then you have to edit it and you have to filter it and you have to do all those things. And that's time that I could be spending creating something new.
So I know you do all different kinds of pieces, like some of your necklaces are just like, how do you get the idea? They're like crazy big.
This is the big out. You said to bring some pieces. This is the
Yeah.
biggest. This is the biggest one I've ever done.
Uh-huh.
I had this in a local gallery. It's actually three pieces, and it sits on the shoulders, like the
Right.
epaulette,
Yeah.
and then it's got the
Uh-huh.
breastplate, and then these go around the neck. So when I started this, I actually started with this piece. This is what I found first. And I was like,
Okay.
so jagged, but it's still beautiful. And I was like, okay, I like that. I was like, it's very different than like a regular pearl. So then I was like, well, let's do something that shows the difference in, shape, and it became something more personal to me than I ever thought it would be. This side represents the very obsessive, you know, rigid. If you look at it, the lines are very structured and they're all falling into the end. And this is more the whimsical ADHD side where I have all these little swirls, and neither one is bad, but I have to learn how to balance them. So then we come to the middle, and then we have this huge stone in the middle that has both colors in it.
Now, did you totally freak out when you saw that stone and you said, "Oh my goodness"?
It I had already started the construction, but I didn't have the stone because it took me weeks and weeks of searching to find it because it had to be just the right thing. It had to be the right color, and I had finished the epaulets and I was getting to the breastplate and I was like, oh, okay, all right, we got to find this because if we don't find it, we're done. But I found it from a gentleman in India that I've bought from before. He has really
Uh-huh.
fantastic pieces, and yeah, got him to
You
send me.
must have been so excited.
Yes, I was so excited. I took a lot of pictures doing this because the construction it's very rigid. You can see it's very stiff, but yet it's structural. The inside is made of buckram and millinery wire, which I had never worked in before. I was like, I don't know how to do this. So I said, hey, Chat GPT, what do I need to use to make this stiff, to make it stay, but still, like the tendrils, they still have to move because everybody's
Okay.
neck is different.
Right.
I was like, so it still has to move. So it was like, this is what you need. Try this, try this. And I was like, I don't know. So I looked at it, and then finally I ordered some stuff. I ordered the buckram and the millinery wire from a lady in Kentucky. And I was like, this is the weirdest stuff I've ever felt in my life, but okay, we're going to make this work. And I just used the same template that I used to cut the felt out. And then I did the same thing to cut out the buckram and just made it a little bit smaller. And it worked so well. I couldn't believe I got it right the first shot.
Isn't that crazy?
Hmm.
Wow. You asked ChatGPT,
Yeah.
and that's so funny because in my beadboard business, Paula, who's wonderful working with me, will come up against an issue
Hmm.
and we'll struggle with it. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? And eventually we might fall into a solution. And it's never occurred to me to ask Chat, hey, this is what I'm trying to do.
Hmm.
Can you help me try to figure that out? So
I
that,
use it a lot for building business plans and budgets and making sure that I'm not like I'm dreaming up something that is just not feasible. I had considered opening up a shop in the town that's a little bit south of us. It was a great spot. It was like an art in the arts district. And I was like, so I put in there, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to do classes and workshops and a little bitty retail and some gallery. And, I want my daughter to work. And I gave it all this information. I was like, is this something I can do? And it was like, this is how much you need and this is how much it's going to cost. And it was real eye opening, which,
yes. Yeah, no, I do use it a lot for business, like
mhm.
planning and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
And that works really well. But and the other thing too, I will say is it has come a long way in like
it
the
really
last year
has.
and stuff. It
Yeah.
really has. And so sometimes I'll think I've asked it that before and I didn't really get a great answer. And then it's like, well, yeah, but that was a year ago.
Hmm.
So it's come so far in that
Hmm.
amount of time. You have to, maybe try it again and see if it does better.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
it's
it's
and it's
crazy.
one of those tools that it is not the end all be all. It makes mistakes. It makes that disclaimer on the front page. It's like, always check the answers, what it says, because it gets things mixed up. But
Yeah.
numbers, it can do numbers like faster than your accountant.
Yes. Yeah. It's good at that. So how old is your daughter? You said you had a
Uh,
daughter.
I have four. I have four kids. The oldest is 32. The next one is 27, 23, and then the only boy, he's 21.
So any of them get interested in doing beading?
No.
No.
Nope. My daughter that I was gonna, thinking about working with me, she is very artistic. She likes to draw and paint and, do fiber arts and stuff like that. And I use her as my coloring consultant.
Mm.
I'll put down like 10 beads. I'm like, this is what I'm going for. Which color is the right one? And she'll be like, not that one, not that one. Okay, there you go. I'm like, okay.
That's good. It's good to at least be able to bounce ideas off of somebody, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Yeah.
Yep.
That's, yeah. Did you bring any other pieces to show?
I did. The next, after I finished the big piece, I was like, I have to do something a little more simple. And so I had these cabochons that I had gotten a long time ago, and it's these little birds.
Hmm. I
So
saw this on your Instagram account.
yeah, and so I have seven different versions of they're different birds and bone and green zebra jasper and just it's each one they're similar but they're just a little bit different. It was when I would put the cab down, I would find all these beads or whatever I wanted to use as the bezel, and I called it auditioning. all these beads were auditioning to be in this piece. And I was like, oh, you're cut, you're cut, you're cut. Until I finally found the ones that actually kind of pulled out the part of the cabochon that I wanted to display, have the focus on.
Very
And
nice.
then I would make a bracelet and an earring to go with it,
Oh,
something.
okay. So that's what I like is a complete set.
It was like a whole complete set. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I brought this one.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
This one has the sparkly leather on the back. I don't know if you could see it sparkling.
Uh-huh. Yes,
Because
I
I
can
I
see.
want the back to be just as pretty as the front, you know.
Right. Right.
And these are little Rivolis, and it was just, I was like, okay, I had these stones, and I don't particularly like yellow or that yellowy green, but I was like, I don't even know why I had them because I don't, I don't even like the color, but it must have been a good deal. So I went through all my beads, and I was like, okay, what matches? And then it just kind of, grew into itself.
Hmm. So you mostly do bead embroidery then
Hmm.
now,
Yeah.
except for like some earrings or bracelets or
Right. Right. And I will use components like in this one is the peyote with twist. I don't know if you can see this one. So I still use a lot of bead weaving to complement it, especially in like the necklace pieces of it.
Mhm.
So it's
Right.
got, I like this one, but I like this rope the best because it actually moves. It doesn't get tight.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly it's all embroidery. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other pieces?
Mhm.
I don't want to.
Oh yeah. This is the cuff that I
Oh,
made. It's
wow.
a brass cuff on the
Uh-huh.
inside, and then I cut the felt just a little bit larger than the cuff, and then I
Uh-huh.
beaded the top, and then you put the leather on the back and and you glue those pieces together, and then you come around with the edging and seal it together.
You're inspiring me to do bead embroidery. That
You
is
should.
so
You should.
beautiful.
Come by my whatnot shop.
Yeah, that's what I should do. I'll watch your demonstrations and learn. I've done one cuff bracelet
Hmm.
um that way with the felt, and it was a kit that I had bought
Hmm.
at a beach show. Um and then I did just a little pendant to match it because I have to have the bracelet, the pendant, and the earrings to go.
Right.
So like if I buy a kit and it doesn't have one of those pieces, then I have to
Create
figure
it.
some like
Yeah.
these earrings go with a necklace. I had bought a kit necklace and bracelet, but there were no earrings, so I had to figure something out to kind of match up with it because I got to have all three
Have it.
matching. Yeah, I'm a real matchy person. But I love the uniqueness of each piece. I think that's what's really so beautiful. Like no two pieces are going to look
Uh-huh. Yeah, I was
not even not even the same, but not even alike,
right. I was
right?
talking to one of the ladies from the Tennessee Craft. I go out there, and that's one of the shows that I do. And she loves coming by, and she's like, everything is different, but I know it's all yours because the technique is still the same. And it took me, I'm going to grab a piece and show
Yeah,
you.
sure.
This was the first one I ever did. And
Okay.
I did it this way because it was repetitive. It was, all lines. Learn how to make it, learn how the tension works, how do you set the beads in? And it's not, I can tell, now, 10 years later, that I can see the bumps and I can see where the tension wasn't right. But that's the kind of thing that I would do in the beginning is I would just make myself do something over and over and over and over again until I was comfortable doing it.
Yeah, that's that's the same as what we say to a lot of the beginners in our community
Hmm.
um, that are trying, let's say, peyote for the first time, and
Right.
you can tell you can tell it's their first one because the tension goes in
Mhm.
and out, and
Yeah.
sometimes there's sticking out all over the place. And it's like, but you know what? You did it. Like you got through it. You did it, and it's only going to get better.
Right.
You just have to watch the
Mhm.
tension and just do it again and again and again.
And every person that you look at and say, "Oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I was like that." You will be like that. But they have, 1,000 hours of experience doing it, and you're just starting, and it's okay. Messing up is part of learning because if you don't mess up, you don't know what to fix.
Yeah, exactly. I one time tried to teach a friend of mine how to bead,
Hmm.
and I set her down with a pattern, peyote, and some beads, and she came to me and said, "I've messed something up. I don't know what I did, and I don't know what to do to fix it." And
Hmm.
so I went and looked at it, and I said, "You missed a bead like 3 rows back.
Yeah.
There's nothing for it now. You're going to have to take these 3 rows out and start over again."
Mhm.
And she handed the whole thing to me and said,
No, thank
"This
you.
isn't for me." I said, "Honey, if you're not willing to rip out rows of beads,
Yeah.
then beading is not for
It's
you."
not for you. I still mess up. Pick the wrong size bead. I get the wrong color. I skip spaces. And it's just, yeah,
It's,
it's the
it's,
nature of the
yes,
beast.
it is. Yes.
I'm trying to get a piece. I have pieces everywhere. They're just hanging. I only did maybe 3 pieces ever on a loom. I did this for my mom because she loved going to the casino.
Uh-huh.
So I got her this. So I made her this. But the loom was not my thing. I have
Yeah.
it and I've done it and I'm good. I appreciate when I see somebody who does that kind of work. I'm like, that's amazing. But it was, I don't know what it was. I don't know what about it was not for me, but yeah, I know that feeling of like, this is not right.
Yeah. Right. Right. And I think that's why we all sometimes we pick a stitch or
Okay.
a way, a methodology, and it just that's what clicks with us, and that's what we like to do.
Yeah.
So for me, it's peyote. I love doing
Hmm.
peyote. I could do peyote all day long, and that's my thing.
Hmm.
And that's what's so wonderful too about beading is
Hmm.
it's not one size fits all. I
Right.
mean, there's so many different ways of doing it, things to make. It's not limited to just jewelry. You can make
Right.
three-dimensional things,
Right.
and that's what I love about it. It attracts old people, young people.
Hmm. Yeah. One thing that I would say is try everything. Do at least one piece that's just bead weaving, one that's peyote, one that's bead embroidery, one that's this type, oh, what is it? See, I can't even remember the name of it because it's the plague to me. What I just like, do a herringbone, do all the different kinds of stitches and find the one that you really like because they're all different. They all feel different. They all itch a different part of your brain. It's try everything at least once.
Yeah, that's good advice. Very good advice. I think on that, then I have really, really enjoyed talking to you. It's
This is
been,
good. It's nice.
yeah, I am just really, like I said, in awe of your work. And I'm probably going to cut this part out of the video, but I'm going to admit to you because I told you I'm trying to photograph my projects. And so yesterday was my day to go to town because it's a half
Mhm.
hour away. And I ran into Hobby Lobby because now it's not just your photography, but the photography now seems to be, we're kind of all past the wood plank
Mhm.
phase, and we've kind
Yep.
of moved on to that more natural look like what you have. And so I stopped at Hobby Lobby and I got a piece of linen or whatever it was and some dried flowers. And I ran back last night and I'm like, I'm going to try this and see, And I think out of 30 pictures, I got one that I went, that looks
Yep.
halfway decent, but it's still not
Yeah.
acceptable.
But even when you finish that finished picture is not the end. The one that you get in the camera, you have to take it into Adobe and you have to adjust things. And it's a whole different skill set.
It is,
It
yes.
is. And that
Yeah.
really intimidated me in the beginning because I was just like, I don't know what exposure is. I don't know what ISO is. I don't know what any of these things are. But I have a really patient friend, and she was a professional photographer for many years. And she was just like, it's all about the light. You can have your camera on absolutely the best setting. And if you don't get the light right, it's not going to come out. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And it just took forever to find the right window, the right spot in the yard. It took, yeah.
For the stars to all align for
Right.
your pictures to come
Right.
out right.
It's not like you just sit down and you're like, okay, I'm going to do photography. You do your beads. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's totally different.
But even with your beads, I mean, you can't just sit down and do
Oh,
what you
no.
do
Oh, no.
without trial and error and
Mm-mm.
having a mind's eye to put the pieces together.
It's all problem solving. You sit down and you're like, okay, here's this bead that I want to use, but how do I get from this point to this point? And then it's all these little problems in the middle, and it's, yeah, kind of itchy. That's the itch in my brain that I like. It's not the repetition of some bead weaving, it's the fixing something.
Yeah, that made me think of that big piece that you showed
Mhm.
and how the one color side of it is so different from the white color
Mhm.
side of it. And
Mhm.
to be able to make those two things come together and look like they belong together,
Yeah, that's a
that's
challenge. Yeah, it was a
that's
challenge.
yeah, that's a huge challenge.
Yeah.
That's
And
yeah.
I wanted it to be sculptural. I didn't want it to be flat. That was the big thing, is like, how do I get it to do what I want it to do? That was the biggest challenge. It's like, how does this actually work?
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed meeting Heather, click one of the videos on the screen to meet another bead artist or learn something new. And don't forget to subscribe so you can come bead with me again.